You ever catch yourself doing everything right? Waking up early, hitting the gym, killing it at work, showing up for everyone else, and still feel completely off. As if you're living life with the volume just slightly turned down. Everything's technically working, but something's missing. And no one would ever know because from outside, you're doing great. The discussion in this episode is for the high performers who are quietly drowning in productivity. For the successful overthinkers who've mastered the art of hiding their pain in plain sight. Sometimes the most destructive escape routes are the ones that look the most impressive. But first, hi. Welcome to the Wolverine Lifestyle Podcast, where personal growth meets deep thought and introspection. I am your host, Dylan Andres, and in this episode, we are exploring my personal journey through the journal prompt, exploring the desire to escape. When do you feel the urge to escape your current reality? What are you trying to avoid? And full transparency, this one had me sitting with my thoughts and emotions a lot longer than I had expected. When I first sat down with this prompt, I was thinking to myself, escape, that's not really where I'm at these days. And while that's true now, but if we rewind the tape a few years, escapism wasn't just a tendency, it was a lifestyle. And I'm not talking about the take a break to binge some Netflix or disconnect for a weekend kind of escape. I'm talking about the kind of escape where you fantasize, or rather, where I fantasized about erasing my life completely. There was a time I used to imagine how peaceful it would feel to not have to carry the weight anymore. And I say that because I know someone who's listening has probably been there too. And maybe you're there right now. You see, back then I was 25 years old, trying to wear every hat at once. Entrepreneur, employee, friend, parental role model, partner, all while secretly navigating the kind of emotional chaos I didn't have a language for yet. But that pressure didn't start at 25. It started long before that. When I was a kid, being bullied for my weight and trying to adapt in schools where I never felt like I belonged. At 16, I was juggling full-time school and full-time work, trying to help my family financially, all while tiptoeing around the emotional landmines of having an alcoholic parent. I didn't have time to feel things. I felt as if I had to survive. And that's the thing about escape. It's rarely about running from life. It's about running from the feelings we were never taught how to sit with. Most people think escape means things like drinking too much, or drugs, or porn, or video games, or spiraling into toxic relationships. And yeah, it can look like all of those things. But the more dangerous escapes are the ones that nobody questions. They're hidden inside of the habits we actually glorify. And for me, that habit was the gym. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the gym. Movement is medicine. Discipline does in fact matter. But there was a time when I wasn't training to grow. I was training to punish myself. I want you to picture this. It's 11 p.m. or 2 a.m. Everyone else is asleep. I was in a dark gym after hours. The only sound? The clank of my weights and my own breathing. And I'm pushing myself to the brink, not to improve, but to feel something. anything that wasn't the emotions that were attached to the thoughts I was having about myself. I was trying to sweat out shame, silence the chaos, and punish myself for the insecurities that never stopped echoing. We don't talk enough about how socially acceptable addictions can destroy you. When I was abusing alcohol or porn or substances, people noticed. But when I was overtraining and disciplined, I got praise. And yet, the pain was the same. Because the poison is always in the dose, even if the container it's in looks like progress. According to a 2002 meta-analysis on behavioral addictions, compulsive exercise has the same neural reward patterns as substance addiction. The dopamine hits, the numbness, the high. It's just packaged differently and better branded, or I guess marketed. So let's get real for a second. When we avoid our emotions, we don't just delay healing, we pay for it with our relationships, our dreams, and our health. I didn't know how to navigate emotions like sadness, disappointment, or fear, so I outsourced them to distractions. And because of that, I started resenting the people around me for not meeting the needs I hadn't even articulated in myself. That's the tricky part. When you numb your pain, you also numb your ability to connect. We end up punishing people for not being able to read the emotions we've hidden, even from ourselves. And this is where the breakthrough came. I realized I wasn't broken. I just hadn't taken responsibility for what I was feeling. Not in a self-blaming way, but a self-empowered way. Taking ownership of our emotions doesn't mean we have to have it all figured out. It means we're finally willing to be with ourselves. And here's the truth of that. The desire to escape never completely disappears, but now I recognize it for what it is. A signal, a check engine light. It's not a solution. These days when I feel the itch to check out, I take a break. I go for a walk, I breathe, I write, I meditate, or I simply sit in silence and observe what comes to mind, completely judgment-free. Because I've learned that the same mind that created the chaos can't be the one to solve it. We need space. We need softness. We need a different frequency about ourselves. And sometimes we just need someone to help us make sense of what we're carrying. So let me ask you this. What's your version of escape? Is it overworking? Is it dating people who aren't emotionally available so you never have to be emotionally available either? Is it always being the strong one so you never get the chance to let yourself fall apart, even just for a moment? Because here's the thing. Your escape route might be wrapped in achievement, but if it's rooted in fear, it will never bring you peace. I work with high performers daily who are finally ready to stop running and start reconnecting. People who are outwardly successful but inwardly exhausted, who are ready to trade the hustle for healing, who want to stop punishing themselves into becoming who they think they should be and start learning how to be who they are. This work isn't easy, but it's worth it, and you don't have to do it alone. So here's what I want you to take away from today. Escape doesn't always look like destruction. Sometimes it looks like discipline or progress. Healing starts when we stop outsourcing our pain and start owning our emotional truth. The urge to escape is not a weakness. It's a sign that something needs your attention, not your avoidance. Sometimes a simple pivot is all that's needed. And if you've been nodding along during this episode, chances are there is a part of you that knows you're ready to go deeper. If you're tired of hiding behind the mask of, I'm fine, and you're ready to build confidence that doesn't require perfection, DM me the word checkout on Instagram. Let's talk. No pressure, no pitch, just friendly, real conversation. Because the life you want isn't on the other side of productivity. It's on the other side of presence. And presence starts with truth. As always, thank you for joining me for this episode of the Wolverine Lifestyle Podcast. If it resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone who needs the reminder that even high achievers need a safe space to fall apart and rebuild. You never know who's silently struggling behind a strong face. This might be the message that changes everything for them. And if you're ready to take a step further into your own self-exploration journey on your own, grab my free ebook, 30 Days to Know Yourself. The link will be in the show notes along with all of the other links to the rest of my socials and resources. Until next time, I want you to remember this. The parts of you you're trying to escape might just be the keys to your freedom.